was lost 15 years ago. She stared at him without blinking, and this made him uncomfortable. The queen then went close to check the back of his ear for a birthmark because her son was born with a birthmark behind his ears. Lo and behold, the birthmark was there. The queen covered her mouth with her hands with disbelief. She could not believe. Once upon a time, there lived a just and mighty ruler of a prosperous kingdom named King Anene. King Anene was a very wise king. He was kind-hearted and generous. Everyone in the village loved him. He was blessed with 3 beautiful daughters and a son who was 10 years old. The king had actually struggled to conceive a male child. It took him years before finally the gods of their land blessed him with a son, and this made the king and his wife Noma very happy. For without a male child, there would be no one to ascend the throne when the king dies. When their son was born, the queen's joy knew no bounds. She was so happy that she has been blessed with a son. King Anene's daughters were strong and wise, as they were beautiful, learning the acts of ruling and the ways of the kingdom from their father. But the king's son was a different story. The queen pampered him to no end. She would shield him from every hardship, every difficulty, always rushing to his aid, even at the slightest hint of discomfort. And this made Prince Chidi so spoiled. He could not do anything for himself. He was so arrogant and troublesome. King Anene would always tell his wife to stop pampering Prince Chidi, but his wife would always say to him that he is a little boy, that when he grows up, he will change. Prince Chidi kept on getting worse every day by day. The king saw what his son was turning into and was so unhappy. And this kept the king up at night, thinking on what to do to change his son's behavior. But all his effort was fruitless, as the queen will always step in to protect her son. One fateful day, Prince Chidi had gone out to play with his friends. While they were playing, Prince Chidi told his friends that they should go to the other side of their village, a boundary which they shared with the other kingdom. One of the boys told the prince that his father had warned him never to go close to the boundary because it was in dispute between their kingdom and the other kingdom. But Prince Chidi, due to his stubbornness, insisted they go there and play, that nothing wrong would happen and they would be careful. While they were playing, some men came and kidnapped Prince Chidi. The other kids escaped and ran back to the village. They went to the king to tell him what had happened. Queen Noma was so scared. She kept on screaming and crying, calling out the name of her son. King Anene quickly sent some search party to look for his son, but they were not able to find Prince Chidi. They searched for him in neighboring kingdoms, but all their efforts was negative. The queen could not believe that her only son was missing. She cried and cried, hoping that one day her son would be found. She would pray to the gods of the land to keep him alive wherever he was. King Aneno, on his own end, was so worried about his wife. He would always console her and tell her that one day their son would return. Queen Noma then suggested to her husband that they place a reward for whoever finds their son and brings him back. But no one was able to find the prince. After 15 years of searching for Prince Chidi, he was still not found. Gradually, he was being forgotten by his mother and sisters. One day, King Anene went to pay a visit to his longtime friend who was a king in another kingdom. After visiting his friend, as King Anene was about leaving, his friend gave him some gifts and ordered few of his servants to accompany him back. They carried King Anene in a carriage back to his kingdom. When they arrived at the palace, as the servants were bringing out the gifts, Queen Noma sighted one of the servants that had a full resemblance as her son, who was lost 15 years ago. She stared at him without blinking, and this made him uncomfortable. The queen then went close to check the back of his ear for a birthmark because her son was born with a birthmark behind his ears. Lo and behold, the birthmark was there. The queen covered her mouth with her hands with disbelief. She could not believe her eyes. She screamed with joy and hugged him so tight. Chidi was confused on what was going on. King Anene was smiling all through, when his wife the queen was in shock and surprise. While this was going on, his daughters heard some noise and came out to find out what was going on. Queen Nneoma noticed that her husband was not shocked or surprised. In confusion, she then asked him why he was not surprised or shocked. It was at that moment King Anene then told his wife that he had made a plan with his friend from another kingdom who was a king to kidnap his son Prince Chidi and take him as a servant in his kingdom. It was all planned in secrecy. Only the king and his friend knew about the plan. King Anene told his wife that he would secretly go to visit their son to see how he was doing and how well he has changed his behavior. After King Anene had seen that his son has changed a lot, he then decided to bring him back. When King Anene finished narrating his story, that was when Chidi realized why the king, his master, has been paying attention to him and giving him special treatment, because he knew all along that he was of royalty. Queen Nneoma was so shocked. She looked at her husband with rage and anger. She said to him, "How can you give out your only son to become a servant and say you did it for his own good? What if something bad had happened to him?" Meanwhile, the king's daughters were in shock on hearing their father's story. Prince Chidi was also furious at his father. King Anene pleaded with them to forgive him and explained to them that he did it for the betterment of Prince Chidi, to train him into becoming a better person and a competent ruler to take over from him. Over time, the change in Prince Chidi was evident to all. He attended to people with empathy, helped the needy, and was brave in his decisions. Chidi had already forgiven his father, but Queen Nneoma, though initially furious with the king for his deception, eventually saw the wisdom in his action. She saw their son not as a spoilt prince, but as a matured and responsible man, ready to take on the responsibility of the kingdom. She forgave the king, understanding that his harsh decision was driven by his deep love for their son. The lesson of this story is that over-pampering does more harm than good, and that real love sometimes means letting our loved ones face challenges so they can emerge stronger and wiser. Thanks for watching, and please remember to like our videos and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.